going to take this mask off so that you can hear me better. That's got to be better, right? Why am I wearing this mask? Because it's nearly Halloween, and to be honest with you, I'm just a big child. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. You see, with Halloween coming up, it got me thinking, and I got to thinking about a question that I want to ask you, which is this. Is fear the one thing getting in your way? If you are thinking of quitting smoking, but you haven't yet taken any action, if you are struggling with a drink problem or an addiction to drugs, food, pornography, gambling, whatever, but you haven't yet gone and got the help that you need, or you don't feel ready to get the help that you need, is fear the one thing stopping you from getting well? And if it is, what are you so afraid of? Look, I get it. You sat there, you're thinking, I'm not afraid of anything. The reason I haven't quit smoking or got help for an addiction is not because I'm afraid, it's because it's not the right time. It's never the right time, is it? It's because of this situation, or I've got to deal with this, or I don't have the money, or there's this problem. And to be honest, when I was planning to quit smoking, when I was reading up on the internet about, different ways to get help, but yet still smoking a cigarette at the same time, I thought the same thing. I was like, well, I can't afford the smoking cessation products that I need, or my nan's in hospital, so I have to go and tend to her, so now is not a good time to quit smoking. There were all these logistical reasons that I could, they weren't reasons, they were excuses. And I realise that now, and it's okay, because I'm past it. But you see, when I realised that I was making excuses, I realised that the reason I was making these excuses is that I was terrified. And I had no idea for the longest time, I had no idea that the reason I couldn't quit smoking successfully is because I was terrified. And I understand it today, because you see, cigarettes have become such an integral part of my life. They were who I am, they were my whole routine. From the moment I woke up in the morning, the first thing I did was go to pee and brush my teeth, but then have a cigarette. The last thing I did at night was a cigarette. All day long, cigarettes were such a part of my life that it was like letting go of a part of myself, and I was afraid to do that. It would be like, breaking up with a girlfriend or losing a loved one. I know to some people that might sound strange, but that's what was preventing me. And the more I looked into it, the more I realised that wasn't the only reason I was afraid to quit smoking. There were other reasons too. And since then I've spoken to other people with other problems, with alcoholism, with drug issues, and spoke about this fear of getting well, of letting go of that addiction. I think that's what it is. It's a fear of letting go of the addiction. And other people realised it too, so it's not just me. Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about the most common fears that I've had and that I've heard other people talk about. The most common fears that will get in the way of a successful quit smoking attempt, or that will get in the way of getting sober or clean or whatever it happens to be. And the first one is the fear of failure. The fear of failure as it pertains to quitting smoking or recovering from an addiction is that fear of, what if I relapse and have to go all the way back to the beginning and go and do all the hard work again? Or what if I never make it back to the beginning? What if I just continually relapse and I never get to be smoke free, or I never get to be sober, or I never get to be clean? What if I can't do it? What if it's too hard? Doesn't that mean that I'm a failure? That I'm a weak person? That I'm crap? No, it doesn't mean any of those things. What it means is You know the famous saying by Thomas Edison, and he was asked about, you know, how does it feel to have failed 10,000 times, and he said, I haven't failed 10,000 times, I've found 10,000 ways that don't work. Picking up again is just that. It's a learning curve. It's discovering the ways that don't work for you so that you can find the ones that do. I read earlier today, did you know that the statistic for people who successfully quit smoking at their first attempt and never pick up a cigarette again, the percentage of people who do that is something so ridiculously low? It's like 7% of people quit smoking successfully on their first time. And I'm not one of those 7% of people. And to be honest, I don't know many who are. I relapsed quite a few times, and it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. You see, when I did pick up a cigarette, I treated it as a learning experience. I could identify, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do differently that meant I smoked today whereas I didn't smoke yesterday? How do I get back to the happy smoke-free life I had yesterday and have less of the shitty chain smoking days that I've had today? It was a learning experience for me. And as long as I treated it as a learning experience and tried again, I hadn't failed. You know, another famous saying, you only fail when you stop trying. So the key is to just keep going. And if you're watching this and you're where I was, wanting to quit but not being able to, you know, get there, let me tell you something. You can do it. And I don't say that as some kind of like false thing just to raise your spirits. I genuinely believe that whoever you are, you can do it, because I could. I've just done a year without a cigarette. I've done 5 years without alcohol. I have that issue too. And from, you know, a heavy drinking 40 a day smoking hopeless case to, you know, sober, smoke free and happy today. If I can do that, then you can do a hell of a lot more than I can. Trust me. The other fear that crops up a lot is, oh my God, what if I gain weight? The thing about facing these fears head on is that by doing so they lose their power and therefore their control over you. So when you face up to the fear that I might lose weight, if it does happen, it's no longer an issue. You see it as part of the journey and you're prepared for it and you can do something about it. What I'm getting at here is that yes, there is a very real possibility that you might gain weight. I gained like 25 pounds, or, you know, maybe not that much, maybe like, you know, 15, 16 pounds after I quit smoking. All I know is that my pants no longer fit me. But I lost that weight again, or I'm in the process of losing it. I know people who've quit drinking. In fact, I was just last night speaking to a girl who was a week sober, and she was like, Chris, I can't believe it, I've stopped drinking and now I can't stop eating. So it does happen, but it's nothing to be afraid of. The weight falls off. All I had to do to get back to, you know, I'm on my process of getting to my ideal weight now, which is a whole other subject for a whole other video. But it's simple things like you start to introduce a couple of healthier meals into your diet, because you get a lot more energy as a result of quitting smoking. You can go out and do some exercise. I love going out on my mountain bike now and just sort of riding around and getting some fresh air and feeling good. And the weight starts to fall off again. If you are genuinely terrified of losing weight, if this is like the worst possible thing that you can ever imagine happening to you, I recommend going and getting a book by Paul McKenna called Quit Smoking Today Without Gaining Weight. That is literally the title of it. I'm a big fan of Paul McKenna and the work that he does, and there's a lot of stuff in that book that is really good. The reason I gained weight is because I didn't follow the instructions. I'll hold my hands up. But there are other things, other parts of that book where I did follow the instructions and it paid off. So go and get that book if it's something that's really concerning you, and try that method. And again, remember, if at first you don't succeed, get back on your horse and try again. You can do it. And like I say, if you do gain weight, it's not that big of a deal. If you don't want to, there's a book for you. The third biggest fear is the one I spoke about right at the beginning of this video. It's that, how am I going to get through my day-to-day life without the cigarettes or the addictive substances that was such a big part of my life at that time? How do I get through the morning? What do I do when I get up in the morning? And I can't go in my kitchen and have a cup of coffee and a cigarette and do the whole coffee, cigarette, coffee, cigarette, coffee, cigarette until I'm like, yeah, and about to get on with my day. What do I do when I'm at work? And I've spent years getting into a routine where I frequently give myself a break from work by getting up and going for a cigarette. What do I do when I go out of an evening and all my friends pile out the door to go and stand in the cold and smoke, and I'm left indoors on my lonesome? What do I do? How am I going to cope with those situations? I've got to be honest with you, this terrified me far more than I ever let anybody realise. I could not imagine my life without cigarettes. I could not imagine being able to cope on a day-to-day basis without having a cigarette. It meant like changing my entire world, and I was terrified of that change. But you know what I found when I finally quit smoking? It wasn't that bad. Do you know what I did? I changed. I adapted. In some cases I even thrived. Go check out the video I made called 5 Things That Nobody Tells You Will Happen When You Quit Smoking. In that I talk about my work. I was not only able to do more of it because I wasn't getting up every 5 minutes to go and have a cigarette, but the quality of that work improved because my mind wasn't constantly thinking about a cigarette. I could focus on the task at hand. So the answer to the question, what am I going to do about smoking at work, wasn't an issue anymore. Comes to the question of what am I going to do when it comes to the coffee cigarette thing, just don't do it. Today I normally make tea instead of coffee, and I write a gratitude journal, I catch up with friends on social media or whatever it happens to be. You just do something different, and it's guaranteed a million times better than having that first cigarette in the morning and then spend 5 minutes coughing your lungs up. When it comes to going out with friends, when they would all shovel out the door to go and have a cigarette, do you know what I did? Shock horror, I talked to other people who were inside. And you get to know new people and you get new friends. There is a positive slant on it. For every negative aspect that you can think of, for every, oh my god, this is going to suck, there is a positive. And that's the best thing that I've learned in facing my fears about quitting smoking and recovering from addiction, is that there is always positives to be gained. Even when it comes to withdrawals, which I know might sound strange, but it is true. And withdrawals are the 4th biggest fear that I can face, and that anyone could, you know, the people I've spoken to have mentioned them to me. They were terrified of the withdrawal process. What if it's too painful? What if it's too hard? What if I can't cope? What if it is too much for me? I'm not going to be able, it goes back to that original fear of I'm not going to be able to do this because the withdrawals are going to be too much for me. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Withdrawals suck. Whether you're withdrawing from a cigarette or alcohol or whatever it is, there is nothing pleasant about it. But that's all it is. It's just, there is nothing pleasant about it. It is not physically painful in the way that, say, if you stubbed your toe or someone kicked you in the doodah bits is painful. It's just really unpleasant. And the best part, it passes. Withdrawals do not last that long, especially compared to like the grand scheme of your entire life. They're just short, unpleasant experiences that are a part of your journey. They're a part of my journey. What I learned to do when I was having a withdrawal was to imagine the effect that it was having on me, and the sensations that I was feeling in my body were actually all the gunk that I put into myself, like evaporating out of my skin and leaving me, like in some kind of mad science fiction film. And because of that, I was able to turn the withdrawals into a positive experience. Yeah, it still sucked, but in my mindset I knew that, like, look, okay, I've just got to deal with this and it will pass, and then I can go on with my day. And there are other positives. It's been a while since I really craved a cigarette, but there are times when, you know, I'm certainly not out of the woods yet. There are times I might go past, you know, someone smoking and a little trigger in my brain will go, that looks like a good idea. And then I can play that movie through then and think, well, if I think that's a good idea and I go and smoke, then eventually I'm going to realise what an idiot I've been and want to quit again. So then I'm going to quit again, and then I'm going to have to go through all those horrible withdrawals that I used to have. And I don't want that. So sometimes those withdrawals that I had now protect me from smoking again because I know what's in store. They actually prove to be useful to me. And if you do suffer withdrawals, there are tons of things that you can do to not just physically lessen the impact of the physical impact of them, but to lessen the mental impact of them, which is far worse. It's when you can't get it out of your head and you cannot focus on anything else. There are lots of things you can do, and I'll make another video to talk about those some other time. But what I want to tell you is what I've already told you. When you face your fears head on, they lose their power and therefore their control over you. When you face your fears and accept that, yeah, look, quitting any addiction is going to be shitty for a little bit of time. But it's never as scary as you think, and you can and you will get through it. Please trust me on that one. You can and you will get through it. And as I've always been saying lately, if you're struggling, reach out, I will hold your hand and we will get through it together. Thank you for watching this video today. I'd like to ask you, if you've enjoyed this video and you want to hear me talking more about quitting smoking and addiction and recovery and all those sort of things, there's a little subscribe button down here somewhere. Please hit that and let's connect. You can also talk to me on Twitter at SmokeFreeLiving, and until then I will see you in my next video. Thank you again for watching.